The sun was nearly gone when Marin's old skiff coughed one last time and went dead in the water. He slammed a fist against the rusty dashboard, muttering curses at the decades-old engine. His comms had died hours earlier, and out here, deep in the crescent expanse, there were no towers, no satellites, just miles of fog and silence. Marin was on contract to chart unknown rock clusters for a minor exploration firm. It paid crap, but the freedom had tempted him. Now, with his skiff adrift and the maps unfinished, he drifted aimlessly until a sharp ridge of green broke the mist. An island. Not on any chart. No beacon, no name. With nothing left to lose, he grabbed a paddle and nudged the skiff toward land. The tide was kind, or maybe just bored. The island was no bigger than a small town, its shoreline wrapped in thick vines and silent palms. No boats. No signs of people. Just a low, strange humming that seemed to pulse from somewhere inland. As he dragged the skiff up the sand, the hum grew louder. It didn't sound natural. Too clean. Too intentional. Every hair on his body stood up. His brain told him to back off, but something deeper, older, curiosity, won out. He slipped between the tree trunks, pushed through the dense canopy, and stumbled into a clearing blackened by fire. In the center stood a woman, or something that looked like one. Her skin shimmered like mercury, and her eyes glowed with a blue so bright it felt alive. Behind her lay scraps of broken tech, scorched panels, tangled wiring, twisted shards of something far beyond Marin's understanding. Neither of them moved. "You're not with the retrieval crew," she said, her voice smooth and unhurried, perfect Earth standard with a lilt that made it almost musical. "No," Marin said. "I'm just stuck." She tilted her head. "You weren't meant to be here." "Well," he said, "I am." She introduced herself as Kaelin, though she warned him that was just the closest translation. Her ship had ripped through a failed worm gate, dragging her across systems and into a time pocket wrapped around this strange island. Temporal distortions, multivector gravity shifts, it was all meaningless to Marin. She was stranded, and very likely not going anywhere. They made camp together. He offered one of his nutrition bricks. She inspected it like it might explode. "You ingest this voluntarily?" "Not happily. Just persistently." That earned the smallest smile. Over the next days, Marin helped her patch together a fire signal using fragments from her ship and parts scavenged from his wreck. In return, she showed him things he couldn't have dreamed up drunk: starfield renderings made from crystal slivers, a palm-sized module that condensed water from thin air, and a neurodevice that let him feel electric currents pulsing through the ground. Every night she spoke of far-off worlds, oceans with sentient tides, stars worshipped by gaseous creatures, cities suspended inside comets. He listened like a starving man. One evening, as violet clouds rolled in above the sea, Kaelin grew quiet. Her glow dimmed. "I have a proposal," she said. Marin raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." "My people value immersion," she explained. "We earn recognition not by conquest, but by understanding. To live among another species and return with perspective that elevates one's standing." "You want me to go with you?" "Yes." He gave a half-laugh, unsure if she was joking. She wasn't. "Why me?" "You helped. You didn't have to. You asked questions. You cared. That matters where I'm from." Marin stared at the sand. "If I say yes, what happens?" "No guarantees. No coming back, maybe ever. If you say no, then when rescue arrives, we part ways. You return to your small world and wonder forever." That night he didn't sleep. The stars above no longer felt distant. They felt like doorways. By sunrise, he found her by the remains of her ship. "I'm in," he said. She didn't smile. Just nodded as though she already knew. They spent 2 days prepping. Her emergency beacon had finally synced with a passing carrier. She said her people were considering his request. Not accepting it. Not denying it. Just considering. And then the sky cracked open. From the split clouds came a smooth sphere of translucent light, floating silently above the beach. It made no sound. Cast no shadow. A hatch opened, and something stepped out, twice Marin's height, encased in a translucent armor that shimmered like heat waves. Its voice was music and static. Kalen translated. He's wary. He thinks you're a contaminant. Marin stepped forward. Then let me prove I'm not. I can adapt. I want to learn. The pause. Then the alien touched a gem on its arm. A second hatch formed, this one smaller. Kalen looked at him. This is it. Your last out. He turned, taking in the empty island, the shattered skiff, the life he'd left behind long before it broke down. Then, without a word, he stepped through the portal. It was like falling through glass and being lifted by thunder. Light and cold. Sound and silence. And then, stars. He stood in a chamber of light and mirrors, surrounded by a galaxy that didn't match any chart back home. Kalen appeared beside him, calm as always. Welcome to the Iraq Vault, she said. This is the beginning. Marin grinned. So what now? Now you speak. 3 months later, he stood before the Iraq High Circle, beings made of smoke, light, flesh, and crystal. A translator node embedded under his collar turned his words into tones and visuals they could understand. He spoke of Earth, of grilled cheese and thunderstorms, of grief, of music that made your chest ache, of stubbornness and kindness and fear. When he finished, silence hung heavy. Then the first sigil dropped before him. Then another. And another. Kalen approached and handed him a smooth black shard. What's this? He asked. A key, she said. To your next journey. He turned it in his palm. Where to? She leaned in. A planet where rivers sing. You like it? He laughed. Yeah. I think I will. As the Iraq vessel glided through the void, Marin sat by one of its transparent observation decks, watching unfamiliar constellations swirl past. Time didn't move the same out here. It stretched, folded, flowed like liquid. Days felt like moments, and moments felt like lifetimes. He wasn't drifting anymore. He was heading somewhere. Kalen sat beside him, eyes reflecting nebulae. Do you miss it? She asked. He didn't answer right away. Earth felt distant now, like a dream half-forgotten after waking. He thought of rusted tools, cheap coffee, late-night storms. The boat that never worked right. The world that never quite fit. Sometimes, he said. But not the way I thought I would. She nodded. That's how it starts. How what starts? Becoming more. He let that sit with him. The Iraq had welcomed him, not completely, but enough to open a door. He wasn't one of them, not yet, but he was no longer just a lost fisherman from nowhere. He was something else. Something new. The shard she gave him lay warm in his hand, pulsing softly. It wasn't just a key. It was a marker. His marker. Proof he'd crossed the line between watching the stars and living among them. Proof that curiosity could outgrow fear. That even someone forgotten by their own world could matter in a much bigger one. Their next stop was Corrales 9, a planet where the oceans literally sang. Kalen described it as a place that resonated with emotion, where the tides changed based on thought, and memories could echo in the waves. Sounds impossible, Marin had said. That's the best kind of possible, she replied. As the ship curved toward a system of twin suns, Marin leaned forward, wide-eyed. He didn't know what would happen. Maybe the Iraq would study him. Maybe he'd help them understand Earth better. Maybe none of it would matter in the way he expected. But he wasn't afraid. He had already made the leap, off the map, beyond the known, past the comfort of gravity and into something bigger than himself. And whatever waited next, he was ready. He didn't just leave Earth behind. He traded it for everything else.